Today, I want us to discuss one Kalonzo Musyoka. What are his chances of becoming president in 2027? What are his paths? What must happen for him to win? If that is something you are interested in, stay with me. And if you're watching for the first time, please consider subscribing so that you don't miss similar videos. In my previous video, ladies and gentlemen, I shared with you how Ruto is likely to be re-elected. If you've not watched that video, I would suggest you take a moment and watch it. I have actually linked it here. But today, I want us to look at Kalonzo Musyoka. What are his chances? Remember, Kalonzo Musyoka has vied for presidency only once, and that is 2007, from which he was number 3. He then joined Kibaki and became the vice president. But after that, Kalonzo has always threatened to vie. In 2013, he was like, he's not going to deputize anyone. He has to go to the ballot. Until he made a last moment ditch and joined Raila Odinga in CORD. Of course, they agreed in that CORD that come 2017, Raila Odinga was to endorse Kalonzo Musyoka for the presidency. Raila didn't do that. Come 2017, Raila Odinga simply formed a new coalition called NASA, which rendered the agreements of CORD useless. Kalonzo was not happy. He threatened to vie. Actually, he said that there was no way he would be the most stupid person if he supported Raila Odinga. Of course, he went ahead and supported Raila Odinga after that. He became his running mate. In 2022, people thought that Kalonzo Musyoka was going to vie, and he was categorical. He said it would be the worst thing if he supported Raila Odinga the third time without reciprocity. And so, this is what I want you to note, ladies and gentlemen. Kalonzo Musyoka, most people underestimate this man politically. In fact, there are people who call him watermelon and other things. But there is this particular phrase Kalonzo used, that he was not going to support Raila Odinga for a third time without a measure of reciprocity. Meaning that this time, that was 2022, he was only going to support Raila Odinga if he was assured, if it was guaranteed that he was getting something in return. There was a time he came under pressure and endorsed Raila Odinga in Jacaranda, only to go on with interviews saying he is not sure whether he was going to support Raila, until they met with Uhuru Kenyatta in Switzerland. So I'll let your imagination handle the rest. But after that, Kalonzo Musyoka really stuck with Raila Odinga and supported him. He was even ready to humiliate himself, going through interviews to become Raila's running mate. Somebody he has deputized twice in serious elections. But Kalonzo was this changed guy who was a statesperson who was willing to sacrifice everything to stand with Raila. Interestingly, after elections, Kalonzo Musyoka has not been so much pro-Raila Odinga, but he's been so much pro-Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta and Kalonzo Musyoka in around 2020, 2021, I think they had a deal. And that deal was so good, Kalonzo Musyoka was willing to do anything that Uhuru Kenyatta asked him to do, which one of them was to support Raila Odinga. Now that Raila Odinga is pursuing AUC, you've not even seen Kalonzo Musyoka going to State House when Raila was launching his candidature. Kalonzo has claimed that Raila has betrayed the cause by working with Ruto. And he's been steadfast, mostly doing what Uhuru wants. And Uhuru has not hidden his displeasure with Ruto. He even made it clear that even though he was handing over presidency to Ruto, his leader was Raila Odinga. Of course, it was not out of love for Raila Odinga, but it was just to tell Ruto that he didn't recognize him in reality. But that is besides the point. What I want you to remember is that Kalonzo Musyoka has been very loyal to Uhuru Kenyatta since that time that Uhuru met him in Switzerland. Very loyal. So now, Kalonzo Musyoka is already declared that he's going to run for president come 2027. The question we are answering here is, what are his chances? Can he really win? And if he was to win, what must he do? And I can tell you, Kalonzo has a chance of winning. This is politics, and political games, you cannot rule somebody out. You can't say this person has no path. You just have to look at what is it that they need to do so that they can win. And I can share with you, ladies and gentlemen, without fear of doubt, that if Kalonzo Musyoka was to get Raila Odinga to support him, let's say Raila Odinga does not win AUC, which in my opinion I believe is likely to win with a landslide. But in the worst case scenario, because that is also politics, in the worst case scenario, he doesn't win. And in the worst case scenario, that he does not stay with Ruto, because even if he lost, chances are that Raila will still stick with Ruto up to 2027. But let's say he doesn't, and Kalonzo Musyoka manages to ask him to endorse him. Kalonzo would argue that I've sacrificed my candidature thrice for you. In 2013, Kalonzo didn't vie to support Raila. In 2017, Kalonzo did vie to support Raila. And of course, in 2022, Kalonzo did not vie to support Raila. And it is the Ukambani vote that really made a difference for Raila, because if they had not come, if Kalonzo had vied, Raila would have become number 2, yes, but with fewer votes. So if he manages to convince Raila, maybe guilt trip him, say that I've supported you all along, it's now also your time to support me. In that case, Kalonzo Musyoka has a path to victory, because like I said in the previous video that I urged you to watch, if Raila endorses Kalonzo and Kalonzo gets the support of the Kikuyus, and I think that is what he is looking at. You remember how he was out doing everything possible to stand with Rigathi during impeachment, etc. And so if he gets the support of Kikuyus and that of Luos and Kambas, he starts very strong, and chances of him winning is high. Then that is one path. That is one way he can win, if he convinces Raila to endorse him for the 2027 race, because he can easily get the support of the Kikuyus. Kikuyus are divided between Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua in terms of who to listen to, but both Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi are showing that they prefer Kalonzo Musyoka to Ruto come 2027. And so it's likely that he will get the support of the Kikuyus come 2027. So if he can get that particular support, and he adds to that support he can get from Raila, that is the Luos, the Coast, and Luya, then Kalonzo Musyoka becomes the sixth president of the Republic. The other scenario where Kalonzo can win is if we have a 3-horse race. Ruto is vying, Kalonzo is vying, Raila is vying. I say that it is very difficult in that particular arrangement to get 50+1. So we might have a runoff. And if we have a runoff, Kalonzo, chances of him, if he has the Mount Kenya behind him, there are high chances that he will be number 2 or even number 1 in some cases. But in that particular runoff, if he can convince one of the other candidates to endorse him, he becomes number 1 and he wins the presidency. The third way Kalonzo can win the presidency is if, by a miracle, the so-called Gen Zs, that the young people, they manage to convince as many young people from all over the country to back his candidature, irrespective of tribe. But this is a very difficult one, because anytime you depend on the young people to vote for you, you are being very naive. Ask Malema, ask Kamala Harris, ask Peter Obi of Nigeria. So if Kalonzo can convince the Gen Zs to register as voters and turn out for him, he also has a chance, because there are very many. In fact, if they registered, of course, there are very many. And so if they registered and supported Kalonzo Musyoka, he would win. So ladies and gentlemen, just as a recap, Kalonzo Musyoka can vie for 2027, and yes, he can win. But he can only win if the following scenarios happen. Number 1, if Raila Odinga endorses him. Okay? If Raila Odinga endorses Kalonzo Musyoka, he gets a very strong head start and he will definitely become the 5th president. Number 2 is if they convince Raila Odinga to be on the ballot, so that you have a 3-horse race, and in this particular 3-horse race, whether Kalonzo becomes number 1 or number 2, he can then convince one of the candidates to endorse him. And if that happens, and one candidate agrees to endorse Kalonzo Musyoka, he wins the runoff and he becomes the 5th president. The number 3 option is if he can get the Gen Zs to come out in large numbers and register as voters, and also come out during the voting time. Because I reiterate, coming out to register as voters is different with coming out to vote on the material day. So Gen Zs feel, the so-called Gen Zs, they feel like Kalonzo has been true to them, has stood with them. And Kalonzo, I saw everything he did, he was trying to actually get this particular demographic to like him. So if he can convince them to get out and register as voters and also turn out, this also gives Kalonzo Musyoka a chance. That, for me, are the only ways Kalonzo, those for me are the only ways Kalonzo win. The other scenarios, Kalonzo loses. If Raila Odinga sticks with Ruto, Kalonzo will lose no matter who supports him. He does not win. If Kalonzo Musyoka does not get the support of Mount Kenya behind him, and he goes into an election the way he did in 2007, Kalonzo will still fail miserably. And whether Kalonzo has the Mount Kenya behind him, if he does not convince the Gen Zs to come out in large numbers and register and become voters, and Ruto is still with Raila, Kalonzo still loses. As to whether he can deliver, that is for another day. In terms of the path to victory, I want to tell you he has a chance, but they are very difficult chances. Unlike Ruto's chances, this guy has a very difficult path because his victory depends on Raila Odinga being on the ballot or endorsing him, or convincing the Gen Zs to vote, which is not very easy, which is even harder than getting Raila Odinga to back him for 2027. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, ladies and gentlemen. If you did, let me know in the comment section. Please don't forget to drop a like on the video so that YouTube can recommend it to others. And also share this video with your friends. That is, if you found it useful. Let me also know if there is any topic you would want us to discuss in this segment. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking your time to watch. Otherwise, let us meet in the next video.